Have you heard realtors or people on the internet talk about the Woodward Corridor, but you're not from here, so you're like, what does that even mean? Well, great. This video is for you. I'll be breaking down all that I know about the Woodward Corridor and outlining exactly where it is, what cities are involved and neighborhoods, and a fun fact about each one that we go along. And if you stay to the end, I'll be saving my best pick for investment for the end. For those of you who are new to the channel, my name is Ed Butler. I'm a local realtor and I make videos just like this one every single month, giving you all there is to know about Metro Detroit and Detroit. If that's something you want to learn more about, make sure you go hit the subscribe button down below, tap the notification bell so you don't miss any of the videos I put out. And like I said, I'm a full-time realtor, so if you need any help within the realm of real estate, I'm your guy. Love to have your back on your home buying, selling, or investing journey. And with that, let's hop into the video. Everybody knows Detroit is a vehicle town. A street in Detroit that has a deep, rich history in automotive vehicles is Woodward, or M1. So if you saw M1 on the map and you saw Woodward, they would be the same exact thing. So people get confused looking at a map of Detroit, like, what is this M1? I'm looking for Woodward. Well, that's it. So this is a stretch of road that goes all the way from the tip of downtown, all the way up through the entire metropolitan area, pretty much, up to the tip of Pontiac, or downtown of Pontiac. And it does a little loop and then comes right back down. And that encompasses about 16 miles. One super cool thing that you may have heard of about the street Woodward is the Woodward Dream Cruise. It's one of the largest events. It's actually the largest automotive event in the world. It's actually the largest one-day automotive event in the entire world, where you have about 1.5 million people that come to Metro Detroit and gather to see about 40,000 different types of cars, mostly classic cars, some very unique cars, but showcasing off that rich American history heritage in automotive vehicles. This event is hosted the third Saturday in August every single year. I think it dates back to like the 50s. So you may be mentioning to yourself, like, what is this? I see all this automotive heritage. What does this have to do with housing? Well, so the Woodward Corridor is essentially the stretch of Woodward that runs the entire way. And so as Detroit has grown and Metro Detroit has grown, we like to say that the path of progress has been going alongside the Woodward Corridor. Over the years, many of the investments that are taking place in the city of Detroit have been focused on being downtown and along anything that touches Woodward. So I like to tell a lot of my investors that, yeah, you'll probably be pretty safe on a good bet if you're buying anything that's touching or near Woodward. And with that, let's hop into the neighborhoods and cities that make up this long stretch. All right, the first one on the list, starting all the way downtown Detroit where Woodward starts. Now, there's not enough I can say about downtown Detroit because this is where everything started. Detroit's renaissance is starting in downtown and expanding out and expanding up through Woodward. We actually are hosting the NFL draft in 2024 right in downtown Detroit. Big thing is coming for the city. All right, moving along up a little bit further along, you're gonna stop in Midtown. Midtown is right here just adjacent to downtown Detroit, and it encompasses, I mean, so many great places, huge restaurant entertainment scene, encompasses Brush Park, which is one of my favorite neighborhoods. And so it's definitely a hub for all things Detroit and a lot of great investments happening there as well. Now we head on up a little bit further. You're gonna stop in the North End. The North End is definitely one that's been receiving a lot of bang for your buck investments for sure. A lot of fix and flips happening in this area right now. The Motown Museum is there. We're actually getting a new $3 billion Henry Ford Hospital right here in the North End. So definitely an area that you want to check out if you're looking for appreciation in the future, because a lot of great things are happening right here. All right, moving along right outside of here and almost escaping Detroit is actually, technically you are escaping Detroit, because Highland Park is a city within the city limits of Detroit. And so Highland Park, Michigan is one that you want to add to your list to keep on your radar, because it has a very long, sordid history where Highland Park's been going through a really long rough patch. stretch for sure. But with it being along Woodward on that path to progress, it's receiving a lot of investment slowly but surely. And so it's one that you can buy low and eventually make a ton of money in if you have the wherewithal to stick it out. Now, one on the completely opposite end of the spectrum from Highland Park, if you move a little bit further up Woodward, and that's going to be Palmer Wood. Palmer Woods is probably home to, in my opinion, the most beautiful neighborhood in Detroit. Has some of the most beautiful homes, beautifully architected, and on these super huge, large lots. You can't pretty much buy a house in here for under $400,000 to $500,000. That's kind of the starting point right here. Palmer Woods historically has been home to some of Detroit's elite of the elite. They say that Mitt Romney had a house in Palmer Woods, as well as our current mayor, Mike Duggan. And that's just the ones of recent memory. There are a ton of other city officials and politicians that call Palmer Woods home, or have throughout the years. All right, the next stop on this train ride is going to be Ferndale. Ferndale borders Detroit. It's the tippity tip. As soon as you cross over from Detroit, you can hop right into Ferndale if you're following along Woodward. So previously, Ferndale was just this little town that's just on the other side of Detroit that had a huge LGBTQ influence and a thriving population there. But now it's kind of morphed into one of the most cultural hotspots in all of Metro Detroit, thriving because of this 9 Mile and Woodward area, and more investments are being added into this city. The prices are definitely following it as well. Now, in contrast, if you move a little bit further north, it's going to be Pleasant Ridge, which isn't as in your face as Ferndale is. It's kind of a little bit of a throwback community. It's kind of one of those, everybody knows your neighbor and you're a very tight-knit community, and we want to keep it that way. So we don't shout to the rooftops about it. We just kind of want to be self-contained, leave us alone, and we're going to enjoy our beautiful community. But it's definitely one that you may want to look at if you want you a nice home and a beautiful lot, and you want to be really close to that Ferndale, Royal Oak area, but feel like you're in a little bit more suburban setting. Now, if you're getting anything out of this video, or you're following along on the train, make sure you go ahead and hit the like button down below. It helps a lot with the video. All right, now let's keep moving along to Royal Oak. Royal Oak is like the apple of every developer in Metro Detroit's eye. Like, this is an area where you can buy a cheaper house that's kind of run down, and cheaper, put those in air quotes, and then demolish it, develop a whole new property that will sell in the millions if you're on the right block. And so therefore, Royal Oak has been one of the most sought after areas for investors, developers, and just homeowners in general because of their bustling downtown. Has been the bedrock of entertainment in Metro Detroit for many years, and there's no end in sight for that. And because of that, home values in Royal Oak have skyrocketed over the years, and it doesn't look like they're headed back down anytime soon. So if you're looking for a place to live for yourself personally or invest, huge Airbnb scene here, then Royal Oak could be a great pick for you for sure. Now, on the flip side of it is a little bit further, its cousin city, and that's going to be Berkeley. So Berkeley is almost like Royal Oak if you want to slow the pace down a little bit, right? So they have a super cute downtown that's a little bit slower paced than Royal Oak. You get some of the same type of amenities and housing and neighborhoods with the parks and walkability, but it just had a little bit slower pace, and so something for everyone. Well, if you think Royal Oak and Berkeley are pricey, it doesn't get much more pricey in Metro Detroit than these next two on the list. So let's start with the next one on stop, and that's going to be Birmingham. Birmingham, Michigan is like, hey, I've made it, and I want to show you I made it. Having a Birmingham city on your driver's license. It's a beautiful community with some great schools, and really sought after is this downtown area that has a ton of great restaurants and dining options and shopping options. So you don't necessarily have to really leave Birmingham if you don't want to. This community has been super great, and it's been growing and growing throughout the years, and so have the housing prices. So this is probably the most expensive area in all of Metro Detroit, if not very close to it. Beyond its thriving downtown, its location really sets it off because you're gonna have these $1 million homes, but you're still in the heart of Metro Detroit, so you can't beat the location, period. And you see right here on that path of progress on Woodward. All right, next from that is gonna be Bloomfield Hills. And Bloomfield Hills historically has always been the place where you had a little bit of money, but then Bloomfield is probably where you wanted to live, from sports figures to doctors. And then if you want a house on the water, Bloomfield Hills is probably a great place to look for sure. So it's kind of like if you got Birmingham money, but you want a little bit more space in your yard, then Bloomfield is definitely a place for you to look. All right, so now getting on the board and leaving Bloomfield and taking a little bit of a stark contrast, is gonna be next on our stop, it's gonna be Pontiac, Michigan. Now, Pontiac is not as pricey as Bloomfield, not even close, but it is an area for great investments. I call Pontiac like Detroit Jr. It has very similar demographics and a very troubled history just as Detroit, but the future is just as bright. There are a lot of investments happening in the city of Detroit. United Wholesale Mortgage made its headquarters and campus there, the #1 lender in the entire country for mortgages. And so that investment, plus the investment of Amazon, has been helping this community thrive throughout the last few years. And I don't see it end and stop, making this a great place to buy for investments or a starter home. And just adjacent to Pontiac, you go into a city that's kind of forgot about. Like, you don't really hear too many people talk about it, and that's Auburn Hills. So Auburn Hills is the place where the Detroit Pistons used to play, and the Palace of Auburn Hills, and that's where many people remember it for. But beyond that, it's kind of been left out. So this area is definitely one where you can get a ton of bang for your buck. So maybe Pontiac's a little risky for you, but you want to invest in an area that's up there near here, but you want to invest in a city that's near there, then boom, Auburn Hills is a great option for you, or a great option to get some bang for your buck for your primary home. It's got one of the best values in Oakland County for purchasing a home. Now, if you've made it to the end and you're still here with me, I appreciate you. Give yourself a round of applause. Overall, these are the cities that we call the Woodward Corridor. There may be a few of them that you could argue are a part of it that weren't on this list, but these are the main hitters that I like to approach for different things when you're thinking about buying, selling, or investing in real estate. Also, these are pretty much surefire places for growth and appreciation just because of the presence of Woodward and then the presence of investments going in throughout this entire landscape where people want to move to and have good access to Woodward to be able to make it north or south fairly quickly if you wanted to avoid the freeway. Especially for Detroit, it hits home and remains true because the path of progress is definitely following the Woodward Corridor. Now, if you want to make a best bet for your investment needs, then a home alongside of Woodward will probably be a pretty solid one. If you want to see more videos about each of these cities broken down individually, make sure you go ahead and hit the subscribe button down below. And if you need any help with real estate, feel free to reach out. All my information is in the description. I love to have your back on your home buying, selling, or investing journey. And with that, I'll catch you on the next video.